How's it going, guys? And I'm back, and this is the first real video for a long time. And you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit about the realignment. The realignment, the proposed realignment anyway, and then I might give my own realignment. I don't know. This realignment, I've been very skeptical on. You look at what the realignment actually, is. I'll even show you. I'm going to go to ESPN or whatever. I'll go to NHL actually. And the realignment basically goes as followed. It's the first division is the Atlantic Division. Where is it? Okay, it's the Atlantic. The first division, as you can see, is the Atlantic Division, right? It's the Atlantic Division plus Columbus, Carolina, and Washington. Now, I think this is a great idea. I love this, except for the fact that Columbus is in it. Columbus, no, I think that they should get out. I think that Columbus should move over to the Midwest, which we'll get into in a second. I love this division otherwise, though. I favored the last realignment where you had that plus Carolina and Washington. I favored that. I mean, plus it's sort of easy. I look at it on one way. It's an easy thing for, to play Columbus. But I hate that, you got to look for it for like a neutral fan's perspective too. They're not in the Atlantic. You talk about traveling time. This isn't good traveling time. It's the same thing as if Detroit would have been in the Atlantic. You know what I mean? Columbus traveling to Washington for, games that are, that are frequent. Plus, you get, Columbus traveling to Carolina, and I mean, Columbus to Pittsburgh would be fine. But I don't know. I think it's all right, though. I'll give it a good rating. The Central Division, now, this is an interesting... The only central thing about this division is Detroit. Because you got Montreal, that's not central. You get Florida, that's not central. You get Tampa Bay, that's not central. And you get Ottawa, that's not central. That's Boston and Buffalo aren't central either. Just rename this the Northeast Division. Honestly, that's a falter with this. Personally, I don't think Detroit should be in the East. I mean, I know they've been bickering about it. They want to be in the East, but you know what? I'm sorry. You could stay in the West. And the realignment really only has to deal with Winnipeg. If you want to move a team over, honestly, what I think is just move Winnipeg with Nashville. That makes a lot of sense. But you get Detroit, who wants this Eastern Conference thing to happen. Whatever, man. I don't know. But Tampa Bay, I really think that Tampa Bay and Florida would fit better with the other division, and and they should put Pittsburgh and Columbus in that Central Division. That's what I think. I think that Tampa Bay and Florida were sort of just shoved aside. I honestly think that the division that should be with the Atlantic is gonna be Florida and Tampa, and the division that should be in the center, the teams that should be in the center are Columbus. So I'd say and Pittsburgh, which would make more sense, honestly. We move on to the West, and with the West, I have some complaints. The only complaints I really have are of that they're uneven, and this is kind of bullshiza beniza because you look at I don't understand the playoff format, by the way. If you guys could comment and understand and explain to me what the playoff format is. It says the top 3 teams in each of the 4 divisions would qualify. Okay, I get that part. The final 4 spots would go to the 2 teams in each conference with the next best records. Okay? Okay, that I get. But how come they said there's a wild card? Like I don't know. I get it now. Forget it. I get it. All it is saying is it's the top. Oh! Whoa. So the conferences, they're going to be conference playoffs. Meaning the East and the West could potentially play each other in the semifinals, and okay, I get it. Anyway, so that means there could be 2 Eastern Conference teams and 2 Western Conference teams in the Cup together. That's crazy. Anyway, The Pacific Division, I don't have a problem with at all. I think that that's great. I think that that's great. I think that Anaheim should be there. LA should be there. San Jose should be there. Vancouver should be there. All these teams should be there. Every single team that's there. As you could see all the teams that are there. Then I think that Chicago in the Midwest should be there. The Midwest is the other division. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville, St. Louis, and Winnipeg. Winnipeg is the team that's basically been... There wouldn't be a realignment had Winnipeg not been, had Atlanta stayed, because that was a great system, probably the best system that they've ever had. But honestly, if you really want my opinion, in the West, I think that maybe Detroit actually should. This is gonna haunt some fans. Either Detroit, I think Detroit should possibly go back in the West. See, their problem is there's more teams in the Eastern time zone than there are in the Midwest and the Central Mountain and Pacific time zones. They honestly need another team. They need another franchise to make this fair. That's what I think. It's a good realignment. I honestly think it's a decent realignment. The only problem is with the Atlantic and the Central. I think that they should move Tampa and Florida into the Atlantic, and that they should move Columbus and Pittsburgh into the Central, because it makes sense geographically. Half those teams I wouldn't even consider Central. They're trying to be like the NBA was, with the same names. And Gary Bettman used to be in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. And Gary Bettman's just a goof. I think he's a goof. That's all I think. I don't know. Whatever, guys. I mean, it's just my input. It's just a little thing about the realignment. You can't really have a good realignment right here. And I personally, I love the playoffs. You know, I mean, this new playoff format that I just kind of realized in my head. So if you want to comment on, further explain, I guess, if you really want what it is, to explain to me what it is, but whatever. And if this does go through, if this does go through as realignment, I mean, as a Devil fan, we've got an easy division, because we've already got our Atlantic Division teams, which we're fine with, and then we got Columbus, Carolina, Washington. It's going to be more of a fight, obviously, because you got your top three teams, and then you got your bottom. Right? You got your top three teams from each division. Then you got your bottom two. That's gonna be the best, and that's gonna make hockey more exciting. The one thing I will say, which this will do, is it'll make hockey more exciting to watch. I just don't like geographically really the realignment stated. I like the realignment that was proposed in the previous year, and I think that it should stay. But those are my thoughts on the realignment, guys. I love the playoff system. I just switch around the Eastern Conference. Don't really like this too much. You need another team in the West, like a new franchise, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So, guys, love to hear what you think about this realignment in the comments section below. Love to see your own realignment. And honestly, my own realignment is the same exact realignment, if you want to look that up, that they had proposed last year. That is my realignment choice, which they're never going to pick, but whatever, all right? And see you guys later, all right? So see you.